Welcome to another exciting episode of Staying Up with Pat and Jodi. We are here once again from the palatial penthouse of Sight and Sound Events here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. In fact, we are overlooking the Las Vegas Strip. We can just go out onto our patio and see the beautiful lights of Las Vegas. And of course, we're here back with everybody else once again to annoy you and piss you off. Oh, that's just me.
I think you accomplished that last week when you were picking on people from New Jersey and their accents.
That will be my goal again this week. Who can I piss off?
Uh-oh. Watch out.
Who can I piss off?
Watch out. Well, hola, or as we say in Spanish, buenos noches, damas y caballeros. Mi nombre, o me llamo Jodi. ¿Y tú?
Wow. Pendejo. Yeah, that's for anybody who spoke Spanish. I'll just bleep that out in your head.
Once again, I want to remind everybody that if you want to learn a little Spanish, just like I did, I said, my name is Jodi. I said, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Listen to Coffee Time Espanol. Hey.
You're promoting that site better than they do, I think.
I know. I love Coffee Time Espanol. I can listen to those Scottish people trying to speak Spanish.
Scottish people speaking Spanish
all
is the
day.
Best.
All
it's the
day.
Best.
When I'm not listening to, obviously, DJs drinking coffee. That's, I've got to listen to that and my Coffee Time
But this
Espanol.
next week, we're going to have DJs drinking alcohol. That'll be even more interesting.
Yes, because next week, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be bringing the show on the road. That's right. We are going to be broadcasting from the luxurious penthouse of the Riviera Hotel and Casino.
Another penthouse overlooking the Las Vegas Strip. Well, it's actually on the Las Vegas Strip. And
not for long.
It will be one of our last times ever going to the Riviera.
It'll be a lot of people's last times going to the Riviera.
Apparently the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority decided they want to purchase the Riviera and they are going to blow it up. Boom!
That's so sad.
I know, it's going to be like convention space.
The Riviera holds so many great memories of. I mean, when you walk into the Riviera,
it's historic.
It really is. I mean,
old Vegas.
It is the truly last old Vegas thing that we have.
On
obviously.
The Strip.
Yeah.
You have some downtown, but it's the last one on the Strip.
Yeah. I mean, the Tropicana, people were like, blow it up. But the Tropicana, they went in and they remodeled while it was open. And that would have been nice. But, that end of the Strip is really, it's sad. It's really kind of dead down there. As much as I, want to see the SLS do really well, it's just
It's going to be a little tougher for the SLS now because now that's an even bigger gap of nothing between them and the rest of the Strip. So who's going to walk down there when there's just a bunch of construction going on? Because it's where that arena was supposed to go was between them. There's a lot of nothing. The Fountain Blue is there. So there's going to be like 3 or 4 lots of just stuff under construction between the rest of the Strip and the SLS. And the SLS, poor SLS, is going to be hanging out there all by itself.
And it's sad because who is going to walk? I mean, seriously, if you're staying, let's say you're staying at, what am I thinking of? Wynn. For example, if you're staying at the Wynn, well, you wouldn't want to walk anywhere. You're staying at the Wynn. You're doing okay. But if you are staying at a hotel and you want to walk down to the SLS, I mean, it's kind of scary. I mean, I'm sure you'll be okay. Of course, it's not, Harlem, and even now Harlem has gotten nice, but it's not, it's sad that we lost a lot of great hotels and now we're going to lose the Riviera and just the entertainers that walk through the doors. Riviera was the spot at like 2-3 o'clock in the morning. You'd go into their, their lounge and you'd hear like a young Wayne Newton or Frank Sinatra, or headliners would go there after they would go to Caesar's Palace and hang out and sing on the stage. It's really going to be sad. Crazy Girls, our friend Shelley Renee.
One of the original Crazy Girls. I mean, how sad. Top of the Riv. They just remodeled the top of the Riv. Up there where they do private parties. Gone. Yeah, so they're looking like, from what I've read so far, it looks like somewhere between June and mid-August, they'll be closing it down, which means that you won't see anything for another year and a half, probably, or even 2 years. Mm-hmm. So that's just going to be a big empty space on the Strip. It is located right next to the parking lot for the convention center, so it is a convenient spot to add more convention space. My only thought is they already have issues with parking for the convention, Las Vegas Convention Center, when there's a big conference there. What are you going to do if you add another
500,000 or 1,000,000 square feet of convention space. Where's everybody going to park? How are they going to do that?
I'm sure they're going to figure something out with parking. I mean, I got to tell you, yesterday I got a really nice tour of a property that is next to the Riviera that's
not going anywhere.
That's not going anywhere by any means. Trust me, ladies and gentlemen. Spring Hill Suites opened their doors to the CEO of Fun.
Woo!
Woo! And it is a really nice location. And, they do a lot of convention business, and they'll do very, very well because the convention center isn't going to build another hotel where the Riviera is. They're just building more convention space.
They have probably one of the best locations for somebody to stay at during any convention because they literally walk across the street to any part of the convention center. Even once they build the extension, it's just going to be they're just a fabulous location for that. There's a couple other places that are equally well placed, but just a few.
Yeah.
But let's face it, they have conferences coming. Like where I'm going to be at NAB here in April, and that's 120,000+ people that are coming into town just for that.
It's just so sad, though. I mean, I really, really feel. I wish I was here, Pat. I wish we were here when Vegas was in its heyday, and I'm not talking about the 50s or even the 60s. Like Vegas had to be a pretty cool spot to be in, like during the Charlie's Angels, Dan Tana Vegas
70s,
days.
yeah, 70s.
Like 70s, like with all the cool clothes and all the discos and like it had to be like the bomb.com to be. I would have loved Vegas in the 70s.
The mob was still here.
Yeah, dollar steak and eggs probably. I mean,
right?
When we first moved here, I think the cheapest steak and eggs we saw was like $2.99.
Or $1.99. Yeah, but look, we've been here for 20 years, so we've seen a lot of changes. We've seen a big change in the city. It's almost tripled in population in the time we've been here. So we've seen a huge change. But this is one of the old icons that's going the way of the dodo bird, and it is sad. It would have been nicer to see the property been remodeled and upgraded because it's certainly a viable location on the Strip, and it would get more people to that end of the Strip and certainly out towards where the SLS is. Because the SLS, by the way, used to be the Sahara.
Yes.
And opened up as SLS, and now they're I think they're struggling a little bit. A lot of it has to do is they're kind of out there by themselves.
They've got but they got the Stratosphere right next to them. The Stratosphere still brings in people, and the rooms seem very, very nice at the Stratosphere. And
yeah.
We've had the opportunity in the past to rock a few events on top of the Stratosphere, and it really is one of those places, and you've always said it, that is an unkept secret in Las Vegas. I mean, to go to the top of the Stratosphere.
A well-kept secret.
Well-kept secret. What did I say?
Unkept.
Unkept, well-kept. Well, you know what I mean.
It's the opposite, but that's okay.
It's the PBA. But no, it's a really, there's so much character down there. And I mean that.
There are some characters down there, yes. But look, Stratosphere, they got the tower, which is really cool.
The rides, we still never did the rides.
It's kind of more of a downtown crowd than it is a Strip crowd. But they did carve out their own little niche. But like I said, SLS hopefully will do okay. Hopefully they'll figure out something to put in that property where they were going to build the arena, where Wet and Wild used to be and hasn't been for 10 years.
Right. Well, now they're building that arena on Frank Sinatra Drive. We are getting an arena. There's an arena right behind New York, that's being built. And it's coming along really, really nicely, like almost like a horseshoe-shaped like ballpark. Yeah. It's going to be killer. And they're really working on it. Because here in Vegas, if you want something to be, built right away, you'll get it done. They're like, they'll get it done quick.
Well, one thing Vegas is known for is being able to put up properties in record amounts, in record time. If they want to. Of course, when you look at the City Center, that took that went like over double in budget and took longer. That was there was a lot of weird stuff going on with that.
Well, look at where the Stardust used to be. I mean, that they're still working on that property.
There's just a shell there,
and
that's why I say that whole end of the Strip needs revamp. Where the Fountain Blue sits, unfinished, where all those properties that end of the Strip is just kind of needs a boost in the arm, and they don't need to be closing places. They need to be building them up.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And like we said, maybe do what they did with the SLS, kind of give the old building a facelift. But what can we do? It's going to be a great week. I'm looking forward to staying at the Luxurious. my last time, the luxurious Riviera, and hanging out with some of our industry colleagues in the DJ world. I am going to have just an incredible, I don't know, my head's going to be spinning by next week. I mean, technically, I fly to Chicago I do a wedding. I DJ a wedding, MC a wedding with Eric on Saturday. We're done at 10:30. 1 o'clock in the morning, my plane leaves for Chicago because I'm heading out to Chicago to attend a mitzvah showcase. And then this is going to be fun. I feel sorry for the people on this United flight. Big Daddy Sean McKee and I are flying home from Chicago to Las Vegas on the same flight.
You and Big Daddy on the same flight is going to be dangerous. If I hear of a flight from Chicago being diverted and the air marshals having to, I know it's you. I know it's the two of you.
We're sitting together, by the way.
That's what I mean. You're sitting together.
I just got my seat. He told me his seat number. I got my seat number. And so long as the plane has Wi-Fi, we're going to be in great hands because, Claudio, we are going to be watching WWE Fastlane, the last pay-per-view before the big one. WrestleMania. Where we're going to be going to WrestleMania 31, and we're going to be hanging out with our good friend, Lanny Poffo.
Leaping Lanny Poffo, the genius. Yes, the good guy.
We're going to be standing up. We can't wait to hear the Hall of Fame speech that he's going to give to his brother, Randy, on behalf of his brother, Randy Macho Man Savage.
We know that Lanny is great at his speeches.
He's awesome.
And he remembers every poem he's ever written. It's amazing. God. He can recall something that he wrote 30 years ago and recite it right there for you like it was yesterday.
Except for there once was a man from Nantucket.
Well, he just does that to be.
No, I am only kidding. He knows a lot. He truly is. Lanny Poffo is truly a genius, and I think in the wrestling world, we're always trying, Pat, to tell our DJs and our staff that work for us. You've said this numerous times. You can't play somebody that you're not. You got to play. Yeah. You can't fake who you are.
You play yourself better than you do anybody else, and that's, I think, when you present yourself in a public forum, when you're on a microphone in front of an audience, whatever it might be. The best person to be when you're doing that is yourself and not a character. Don't try to be Rick Dees and don't try to be, try to emulate whoever. The reality is that the people who are the most successful in general are the ones who can be themselves in front of a camera and a microphone.
And I think that that transforms over to Lanny. I mean, Lanny has had a number of gimmicks when he was a wrestler, and this goes for wrestling, and this also goes for real life. And he is a smart guy. He's super smart, and we love him, and he's got a great memory. And I think this whole genius thing was great. Just like when he was leaping Lanny Poffo at the time, he did a lot of acrobatic work,
which was very unusual back then. There wasn't a lot of that going on at that point in wrestling. There's a lot of aerial stuff that happened the last 15 years, but he was doing this back in the late 70s, early 80s or so, something like that.
Yeah. So good for him. So the takeaway here is be yourself. If you want to succeed in anything that you do, I think it's really, really important that you be yourself. And didn't I get a compliment from somebody who said, you trained her to be the CEO of Fun, and you said something to the effect like, well, I just kind of showed her how to DJ. The CEO of Fun part was all her.
Well, I think the big thing is you could teach somebody how to mix. You could teach somebody how to announce something. You can teach them how to interact with the crowd, things like that. But you can't teach personality. So your personality has to be there, and you have to be able to willing to listen. So and that's the thing is if you can go out and be yourself and use your natural. And look, if you're a naturally boring person, there's going to be some issues there. We're going to have problems turning you into a top anything. But if you have a great personality and we can bring that out, then,
And perhaps there's a job for you behind a desk or something, where you're not. I meet a lot of DJs.
For me, you saying?
Not for you.
Oh.
No, not for you. But I'm just saying for people that are rather...
I'm already behind a desk. I'm always editing. What do you think?
He is always editing. But for people who are rather shy, maybe, you become a mix master. You're good with music, but you're not great on the mic. There's something for everybody, And
absolutely. Something for everybody.
Something for, just like this show, there's something for everybody. And speaking of this show, Pat,
I have to tell you, I did not unfriend anybody. Again, if you're keeping score.
2 weeks in a row.
2 weeks in a row.
2 weeks in a row.
I almost did unfriend somebody because really, people, spoilers. This just gets me crazy. So the other night.
I'm with you on this one.
The other night, I post. Congratulations to Lee. Oh, wait, I better tell. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
If you haven't seen Pat the Apprentice or Walking Dead, and today is Wednesday when we're taping this show, and I'm about to spill the beans, you know what? Really? Go jump off a bridge.
Well, here's the thing. With social media, there is no such thing as a spoiler anymore or you can't call it a spoiler anymore because the reality is that the moment something happens, it's going to be posted on Facebook, Twitter, and whatever. If you don't want to hear about what happens on your favorite show, stay off of social media.
Exactly.
Stay off of social media.
How many times have you and I, we were out working, I'm doing an event, a show is on that I really, really like, and I want to know what the results are. How many times do I tell you I can't go on Twitter, I can't go on Facebook because I know somebody's going to say something. So if they do say something, do you have the nerve to write them a nasty ass Facebook message and go, well, you just spoiled it for me? You know what? Really? Really?
Well, here's the thing. You didn't really spoil it because let's face it, there's a lot of things that we know the end to that we still watch. Just because you know how it ends doesn't mean you're not going to watch it.
Like The Sopranos.
The Sopranos, hey, a lot of people went to go see the Titanic. Guess what? The ship still sank.
Exactly.
So,
right, Claudio, the ship did sink. We all saw the Titanic.
Knowing the ending doesn't change whether or not it was a good show. Doesn't change. You know what? If somebody told me, if I didn't get to watch the Super Bowl, and somebody told me the score of the Super Bowl before I watched it, that would not ruin the Super Bowl. Some people, that would ruin it for me because I know who won and it would take away the drama. No, the drama is in the rest of the game, how it's played. So the show itself, if it's good, you're going to like it and you're going to enjoy it regardless of whether or not you know the ending. And here's another point. How many times have you watched a movie more than once? TV show more than once?
All the time.
Do you know what the ending is?
Absolutely. Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Absolutely.
Watch it.
We could recite it, Godfather. We still know when the Godfather gets shot. We know that he dies when, spoiler alert,
spoiler alert,
out there going with his grandson with the orange peel in his mouth.
And the grandson is
spraying him with like poison. He's poisoning his grandfather, and he dies of a heart attack or poisoning. I don't know which one it was.
We know Vito is going to die.
We knew this was going to happen because we still watch it. So
and we know Sonny is going to get blown away at the toll bridge.
Oh yeah. We know as he's pulling up, we're like,
this is the part.
There he goes.
Look what they did to my poor son.
Oh,
I don't want his mother to see him like this.
You do a great.
No, I don't.
You do. You know what? You're better than Belushi. And speaking of Belushi,
that's right.
The
Belushi,
SNL
40.
Oh my gosh! I don't know if you people have downloaded the app, but I'm not giving them.
The app is really cool.
It's free.
Yeah, the SNL app. You can look up all the old cool bits and
one of the bits which prompted me to say this
Godfather
was
in Therapy.
Godfather in Therapy. If you have to watch Godfather in Therapy, it's great with Belushi doing the thing with the orange. Like, tell us, Vito, without using any words, how are you feeling? And he peels the orange and he's like, and he does the whole thing. Freaking hysterical. But it was I enjoyed the 40th anniversary with one exception, and you know where we're going.
Oh, absolutely.
Go ahead, say it.
I have to say it, and I didn't think I was going to say this.
And a lot of people feel this way.
Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy was a huge disappointment.
Who, by the way, was rated number 2 on the top SNL performers of all time, behind John Belushi. And I would have to agree. I think they said he saved the show back in 1981. 81 when he first started. He was an amazing performer and had iconic characters. And all he did was go out and say, "Oh, thank you, everybody! Let's clap for them."
I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Saturday Night Live. Yeah, it was just awkward.
You couldn't perform.
Awkward.
He couldn't do one bit.
You know what would have worked really well? Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood, 2015. That would have been great. That would have been great. Okay, maybe he doesn't want to do Buckwheat anymore. He's a big star. But the Mr. Robinson thing would have been...
James Brown.
Oh, my God. James Brown Celebrity Hot Tub. Ow!
Woo.
With some dead celebrities.
Oh, yeah.
Freaking hysterical. Would be like, they're in heaven. That would have been so good. That would have been so great.
So Eddie Murphy... as much as we love you, we're very disappointed.
Yeah, it was
very disappointed.
I mean, even Dan Aykroyd did the
Bassomatic.
That was hysterical.
And the blender malfunctioned at the end. He put the last two fish in, and it locked up the blender, and he just kept pushing through.
That's what a pro does when something like you just keep going. And it's happened to me on occasions with microphones at weddings, and you just keep going. So I really did like when the celebrities came on I liked the Weekend Update. I thought that was pretty cool with the 3 girl anchors.
Yeah.
And when oh gosh, I can't remember what her name. Emma Stone did Rosanna Dana, because I remember Mr. Richard Fatter from Fort Lee, New Jersey writes, "Dear Rosanna Dana." Like, I remember that.
And who would think that she would go with that character, since Gilda Radner was probably dead before she was born?
It just goes to show you that these are classic
she
bits.
watched it obviously
great.
reruns, because Gilda Radner was first. She was version 1 of Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, and of course,
first cast, 70s.
And of course, when I grew up, and I'm not trying to sound too old here, I really.
Too late.
Really? I remember, I don't remember, like, when we watched Saturday Night Live on Saturday night. We were off this Saturday, so we actually got to see the very first episode. I don't know how many of you watched
Carlin.
it. Yeah, with George Carlin, who, by the way, he was still funny. 40 years later, we still laughed at some of those jokes.
Yeah.
They were really good. But, like, I don't remember that. Like, I don't remember watching that. But I can tell you I remember watching, like, I think I really got into it when Bill Murray got on the cast, and that was obviously the first year after Chevy, because Chevy Chase was a year. It was the Bill Murray era I watched. When we got together, I couldn't tell you Phil Hartman, or I wasn't into the Will Ferrell thing. I just remember, like, the Bill Murray, the Eddie Murphy, the Joe Piscopo. I know Malibu, my friend's listening to it, and she knows the Billy Crystal part, because we always used to say, "You look marvelous." And if you notice, I say to a lot of people when I meet them, it's better to look marvelous than to feel marvelous. And we got that from Billy Crystal doing Fernando's Hideaway.
Yeah, and because Billy Crystal didn't come up with that saying,
Fernando Lamas did.
Yeah.
You look marvelous, darling.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was a cool show, but it was also on the same time as The Walking Dead.
Thank goodness for the DVR.
Yes. What did we do without DVR? So, what did you think of this week's episode of The Walking Dead, Pat, when they've lost hope and...
It's gotten really bleak, but you kind of have to know that it's going to eventually get to this point where they look like they're just losing hope. And things are just, every time they turn around, there's something else that's smacking them in the face. And it's really, this was one of the last couple of episodes have been pretty dark.
Right. There's so much going through my mind on this episode of The Walking Dead. First of all, at the very end of the show, this guy who came out of nowhere, who looks like a GQ model.
His clothes look
hair
brand new.
was done. He looked like he came from a photo shoot.
He just came back from Old Navy. You know, he just bought some clothes at Old Navy.
Oh my gosh! I think his name was Aaron. He's a character.
Yeah.
I did a little research on Aaron.
Aaron.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
Stuff that's been available for 5 years.
Exactly. In the comic books. Hello. I guess Aaron is going to be a gay character who takes our group to the Alexandria safe zone, where there's a city kind of like on the order of Woodbury that's protected with walls, and I guess they stay there for a while. So that's where the story is going. So if you're a Walking Dead fan, you know what? I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear that I just spoiled something for you, because I didn't. It's in the comic books. It's in Wikipedia. It's all over the place. Deal with it.
In fact, you looked it up while you were watching the episode.
Exactly, because I'm like, who is this guy?
But
what was the first thing we said? Like, holy crap, where did he come from?
Yeah.
And why is he so clean?
Because everybody at this point looks like homeless people. They all look like homeless people. And we said this before, why do they all still look so clean if they've been out there? And then now they're finally looking like they should, being out in the road. Their clothes are all dark and sweaty and dirty, and their faces are all dirty, and they look like crap. That's how they should look. This guy looks like he just got out of the shower.
I got to tell you something. Even the Woodburyans and the termites didn't look as good as this guy did when he came out of the woods. Am I right?
No, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, the termites and Woodbury had parades and picnics and all that kind of stuff.
And zombie murders.
Yeah, but this guy looked great. So, and what did you think then of the scene where was it a dream? Because I'm listening to podcasts, and do you think it was a dream when the zombie herd came to the barn doors?
No, I think what happened was because when they left the following morning, there was what looked like the path of a tornado that had come through and it sucked all of the zombies from the front door and like tossed them off into the trees. And there was a zombie that was up in a tree with a branch stuck through the middle of them, and they were just blown all over. They showed a distinct path all the way down the landscape.
So do you don't
That's
think...
what all that noise was. The storm was a tornado.
Right, absolutely. And it spared the barn. So the tornado never hit the barn and
it just sucked away the walkers.
Sucked away the walkers. But here's what I'm thinking: could those walkers that we thought were at the door, could they just have been? Maybe they were dreaming that there were walkers at the door.
If they were.
But then a tornado did come and just drop walkers there by chance.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that would be a little bit of a stretch because that wouldn't make any sense. Why would you have a dream sequence where there's a bunch of zombies at the door, then all the zombies are out there in the debris field?
But why did Maggie? They made it like after they were all holding the door together, including Father Gabriel.
Yeah, he was last at the door.
Right, of course.
He waited.
The next scene was Maggie sleeping and waking up.
Well, because it's the next morning.
Dream?
No, because it's the next morning because there's time elapsed. It's elapsed from that evening all the way to the next morning at dawn. So there's at least an 8-hour difference, 6-hour difference between when it happened to when they woke up.
I mean, how long do you think they were holding that door for?
Obviously not long because you heard the sounds of the tornado coming.
And how did the zombies know that they were actually in a barn? Like, did they smell fresh meat?
Maybe, who knows? It's such, again, it's a fantasy world, so who knows exactly how the zombies knew they were in there. Maybe they heard noise coming from the barn. They usually react to noise in the series, so they probably just
maybe
heard
they
them
saw
talking, shadows and talking inside, and then there was a small herd that came in, horde, whatever you want to call it, and that came in and they tried to get into the door.
And the dogs. I'm glad we did not see them actually
cutting up the dogs.
Oh my God! No dogs were actually hurt, by the way.
Yes, that's right.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah,
no dogs were hurt.
They were covered in barbecue sauce to give them that look. That's what we found out.
And somebody had said, I was listening to a podcast.
So they were delicious.
There were 3 dogs, and somebody said breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Oh no!
I'm here all
terrible.
week.
That's terrible.
That was the name of the dog.
What's wrong with you?
I know. But looking forward to the next Walking Dead. But today, Pat, I have to tell you, is a very, very important day because today is Ash Wednesday. And on Ash Wednesday, people give up things for Lent. So I want to ask you, Patrick Harris, what are you going to give up for Lent?
Not a damn thing.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, what do I care about Lent?
Yeah, well, it's a religious holiday.
Lent is something I pull out of my belly button when I've been wearing a shirt too long.
That's Claudio. That's Lent.
Oh, well,
Claudio, our amazing audio engineer, is dying over here about that. No, Lent is a very significant day in the Mary Liz Malibu is probably going.
If you're a hardcore Catholic, give it up. Go for it. Give something
up for Lent.
Give that up. Give up Catholicism for Lent. See what happens.
Oh my gosh, you want people to hate you.
I don't know, but no, I'm not a.
I don't think
I don't believe in a lot of these goofy days because they're basically just some bonehead a few hundred years ago came up with some idea to control people, and that's how they came up with half this stuff. So I really don't believe in any of this stuff, and if it helps you as a person, go for it. But it doesn't. Means nothing to me.
Here's the thing. You can't convince me. Okay, I don't care. You can try all you want. You can't convince me by eating a hamburger or a cheeseburger on Ash Wednesday. If I got killed by a car on Ash Wednesday and I ate a hamburger or a cheeseburger for lunch, and God forbid something happens to me and I die on Ash Wednesday, you cannot tell me that I'm going to go to hell for eating a hamburger.
Because you ate it on the wrong day.
Because I didn't eat fish.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You got to eat fish. It's got to be fish.
Gotta eat fish.
What happens if you're
eat fish on Fridays?
Okay, I'm even
fish on Wednesdays.
What about all the people that lived in the desert, nowhere near any water? How did they eat fish?
They don't eat fish.
There you go.
They don't eat. No, they don't eat meat. They just don't eat that day. They eat bread. They stay away from meat. They don't want you to eat meat on Ash Wednesday, and they don't want you to eat meat on Friday. Oh, especially if you eat meat on Good Friday. Woo!
Ooh, holy smokes! Too many rules.
But that's what. See, I don't get that. So I could free the hostages in Iran. I could save a mother. I could save babies. I can save people from burning buildings. But if I eat a cheeseburger on a Wednesday or Friday, I'm burning in hell for all eternity.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. I just don't get it. So send the letters, send the emails to me. You know where to send them. I'm more than happy to
send those letters. We'll print them out and we'll file them appropriately.
So Pat, you had some interesting experiences with customer service, and it started with the Mercedes.
Yeah.
And then I heard some stories about 1-800-Flowers on Valentine's Day.
Well, that didn't happen to me because
no, it didn't happen to me. I didn't get any flowers on Valentine's Day.
I do have to say that when we talk about customer service is always an issue, but you go to certain places and you expect the customer service just to be there. One of them happens to be a Mercedes dealership where we had to get a new key for your car because one of the remotes died, and it actually left us stranded one night because it basically triggered the security alarm, and it shuts down the ignition so you can't start the car no matter what key you have. Thank you, Mercedes. So we have to order a new key for $270, and I asked specifically, now, do you have to program this key to get it to work? No, we don't need to program it. The person I asked on the phone, no, you don't have to program those for the MLs. No. It's just the 270. So 270, that's it. Great.
$270, folks, for a key.
For a key.
$270.
Yes. So we get
Claudia,
there, and they're like, the guy gets it and goes, did they speak to you about programming it? Like they said he didn't have to program it. Oh, no, you have to program these. I said, no. I asked the girl specifically whether or not I had to program it. She said, no, that the MLs didn't need to be programmed. I said, oh, and then somebody said, yeah, it's so-and-so. She goes back. Well, I never said that. I asked you. And I said, no, I asked you specific. And she was arguing with me. She wasn't rude. She wasn't being nice. She was arguing and being combative. And then when we go to try to open the car, the remote part of the key fob doesn't work. Stick the key in the ignition. It will not turn the ignition. So then they're going, oh, turn the steering wheel, do this, do that. Nothing. I mean, finally, if you wiggled it the right way and did it and turned it sideways and
faced Mecca, bent down on your hands and knees,
you could get it to turn, but then the next time it wouldn't, and it was like so they're basically saying, well, now it's warranted. So, but what we have to do is we have to set up a service appointment for you so the service department can look at it and determine whether or not it's defective. I'm like, you're seeing that it's defective. We're sitting right here, and there was another guy there. He's messing with it. He can't get it to work.
Ridiculous.
And they're basically saying that we have to set up a service appointment so that they can actually warranty the key. Well, finally, after enough arguing, they actually agreed to order another key. But it's just ridiculous how difficult it was. And it's like the guys go, wow, I've never seen this before. Usually these work really well. Well, yeah, I happen to be the guy it doesn't work for, and you're not being very helpful. So a boo on Mercedes for that and how they handled the whole issue. Needless to say, I'm not real happy. We're still waiting for the replacement key, by the way. So,
well, they said we'll get it this week, but I was just quite surprised. I kept my mouth shut, which is something very hard for me to do.
Very unusual.
Thank you.
Yes.
I resemble that remark. And I did. I just kind of took the whole thing back, and I just sat and watched, and I just couldn't believe the woman's tone of voice and how condescending she was, and it looked like you were annoying her, like, please. Like,
basically, she was trying to say that I was doing something wrong.
Yeah.
And that it wasn't working. And then she said, well, try this. I said, I already tried it. And then I would show her. See, it doesn't work.
And then you took and you matched the cuts of the keys. Like, you're like...
And she said, no, they're cut by the serial. They're cut by the VIN number.
And then you showed her.
They didn't mess that up. I'm like,
it's messed. And then the guy saw it. The manager who came out, he saw it. And it's just so weird. It's just, I'm in a customer service-based business here. My other job, when I'm not your radio show hostess here. I mean, I own a customer-based company. I can't imagine treating my clients that way. I can't imagine.
No.
I mean, we rely on reviews. We rely on the testimonials. We rely on recommendations. I can't imagine. Everybody's entitled to one bad day. And in this industry, you're only as good as your last event. Trust me, folks. That's how they judge us. You're only as good as your last event. And you've got to treat everybody like they're a rock star. And if you think you're having a bad day, maybe you should just say, you know what? Let me get back to you. Give me a half an hour. Let me get back to you on an answer with that. Or can I call you tomorrow? Or let me get Heather in the office to answer that for you. Whatever it is. If you feel that you're losing your patience with somebody, if you really feel that they're pushing you, deal with it. It's just and nowadays there's so many ways of this BS reviews and BS feedback, like the Yelp thing. I mean, we talked about the Yelp thing just the other day.
Yeah, most of the people on there are just people that like to complain, but I think there are legitimate issues with customer service. And like you said, if I spend $270 for a key, one, I expect it to work, and two, when it doesn't work, I expect you to work with me and take care of it and not argue with me and try to defend yourself. It's like, look, nothing's coming out of your pocket. If you delivered a faulty product, replace it.
Exactly.
That's why you spend $270 for a Mercedes key. So when something goes wrong, they fix it. No questions asked. That's supposed to be how they do it.
Yep.
Not arguing with the clients, and you run into a lot of that.
Yeah. Yep. Even 1-800-Flowers had some problems over Valentine's Day.
Apparently, because of all the storms, they weren't getting fresh flowers into. Because basically, if you don't know how a lot of these 1-800-Flowers and these different businesses work, is they don't have florists all over the country that are 1-800 florists. They have flower shops that are basically contracted through them, that they get orders from, and they, that 1-800-Flowers is basically just like an agent that gets a cut of every order, and then they send it off to local flower shops. So it's hundreds of different private floral shops that actually service the clients. Well, on the East Coast, apparently they couldn't get fresh flowers in because of all the snow, and a lot of people got old, wilted, crappy flowers and
complained.
Yeah, and guess what? The reaction.
They got a lot of
sorry.
complaints.
That's basically what they were told. Sorry.
So
weather was bad. Deal with it.
Yep.
You paid for fresh flowers, didn't get them. Not our fault.
And it's so funny because
kind of like the airlines, they do that too.
Yep. Oh, the airlines, man, they charge you for everything now. You think you're getting a good fare on a website, and then you got to buy the seat. It's $50 for a seat.
Then you got to pay for the luggage.
$3 for a seat. $30 for a seat. Pay for your luggage. Pay for this. It's ridiculous. I mean, they pay. It's ridiculous. You think you're getting a good deal and you're not.
Nickel and diming
but
you.
The people on the East Coast, are experiencing frigid conditions. Everything east of the United States is seeing
east of the
Rockies is seeing some really, really bad weather, but yet they're claiming that the U.S. is seeing more record warmth this year, which is hard to believe, especially if you're listening to me in Boston and New York and Maine, wherever. They're saying that the United States is seeing more record warmth.
Although if you're here in Las Vegas, you have noticed that we've had shorts weather for the last couple of weeks, and it's been in the 70s, and it's peaked up over 80 a couple of days. And we've been loving this. This is spring. We've been having springtime weather in February, and it's absolutely fantastic. And then you look at our friends in New York, New Jersey, Boston, all throughout the Northeast, and they are just getting hammered.
Look at Johnny Z.
Hammered.
With the snow on his roof. Johnny Z.
I would move.
Oh, I know. That's why I did. I just can't. I just can't. I don't know. God bless you people. My friend, Malibu, who I refer to a lot, she lives on a hill, on this big hill.
A steep hill.
You know the hill, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how she gets down. When
it's icy, I don't know how they deal with that.
I don't think they do. They stay in. It's just ridiculous. If you have an animal, how do you walk it when it's so cold and icy?
Northeast problems. It's like I said, people say, well, in the summertime, you get 112. Yeah, you do. But you know what? I fix my problems here with air conditioning. It's a little switch that I turn on in the car. It's automatic in the office in the house.
So you go from your air-conditioned house. This is how we do it here. We
air-conditioned house.
Air-conditioned house.
Air-conditioned car.
Air-conditioned car.
Air-conditioned office or store.
Office.
And yeah, look, there's some hot spots in the middle. You sweat. It's hot. But you know what? The heat never keeps me from getting out of my driveway. I don't have to shovel sunshine, as our friend Andy Ebon would say. You don't have to shovel sunshine, and it doesn't, it's inconvenient. It's a pain in the ass to work outside and all these things, but really only for a few months. And people say, well, it's only for a few months there. So, yeah, but you're a few months, you're stuck in your house. And you're sliding across the road, and people are dying, and it's like, I'll take this over that any day.
I can't imagine having to do events like you're an event professional in New Jersey. How these guys and girls do events like in this kind of weather.
Load up your van and hope you don't slide off the side of a freeway and crash and burn,
It's crazy. Even the Iditarod, is it pronounced Iditarod?
Iditarod, yeah.
The dog sled race, they had to relocate the race because the route that they normally go through in Alaska has very little snow.
Wow. So Alaska has better weather than Boston does.
Yep.
Amazing.
Yep.
Amazing.
Yep. Crazy. So what do you have for me? Do you have anything for me?
What do I have for you?
Because I have more if you want.
I do have, and one of the stories that we wanted to talk about today, and I know that it's been in the news, there was a road rage incident here in Las Vegas.
Oh, boy.
And
Are you really going to open this can of worms?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely, because it just goes to poor decision making. And, it's one of those things where, just to fill you in, basically what happened was a story that we heard on the news was that a woman was teaching her daughter how to drive, and they had a incident where there must have been a near collision or something, and the guy who they almost ran into got out of the car and was yelling at him, whatever else. And the story said, after that, they said basically that the guy had followed him home and shot her in the driveway. Well, now it comes to find out that there's more to the story, that after the incident, he took off, she went back home, got her 22-year-old son, and his son got his gun, and they went out looking for the guy, and they did find him. I guess there was some sort of argument or something, and then the guy follows them back, and the guy winds up shooting the lady in the driveway, and the son returned fire but didn't hit him, and they still haven't caught the guy. Now, that being said, the guy who shot the woman in the driveway, no less a douchebag in either story. Complete asshole. You don't go shooting somebody over a road rage incident, especially something like that. But the reality is this was 100% avoidable. 100% avoidable and absolutely irresponsible and stupid. And they're basically all saying, oh, she was just protecting her family and he was protecting their family. You're not protecting anything when you're aggravating it. When you go after somebody, you're not protecting anybody. If you were there and the guy started shooting at you when the incident happened, you're protecting your family. When you go home, grab your son and hop in the car with a gun and chase after somebody, you're looking for trouble. And it's sad that this woman's dead. She died from bad decision making. But it also makes you wonder, is there maybe an anger issue with this woman? I don't know. But obviously, what we do know is that she made a very bad decision that cost her life, that cost her kids their mother, and it's sad all the way around. Now, the guy who shot her needs to spend the rest of his life in jail because, the fact is that he actually went back and shot her in her driveway because
he shot her first, because I'm looking here. It says all indications to us that this unknown person fired first.
Yeah, and then the son fired back, but they went back after him. None of that would ever have happened had they just went, oh my God, can you believe that guy? We've all ran into those road rage incidents where somebody does something and screams at you, or flips you off, or does something, and you know what? You just you blow it off and you just deal with it. You don't go and grab somebody and grab your gun and go looking for them. That's that sort of vigilante sort of thought. Call the cops if you're going to do that. Call the cops and say, look, this guy threatened us, whatever else. Get the cops out there. And with road rage, they will follow up on that. They won't follow up if there's an accident. But if there's a road rage incident and there's threats there, the police will show up.
And if you feel like you're being followed because you ran into this situation, you drive your ass to a police station.
Or dial 911 on your cell phone. You know what? I think you can get away with talking and driving if that's the situation.
Absolutely.
Pull out your cell phone, dial 911.
And then, and then
get the police there.
Get the police to, find a meet, let them tell you where to pull your car over, and they'll have an officer waiting there, because it's not worth it. It's not worth dying over.
And I think this is sad now.
And they still haven't gotten this guy.
Yeah, the guy still, so he must have lived in the area because they found him again. So, eventually they will find him, they will catch him, but nothing yet.
So the son and the lady
lady who died went back out. She grabbed her son who got a gun, and they went out to find this guy who, whatever.
And they found him.
And they found him, but the Las Vegas Police Department can't find this guy.
Probably because they were never called at that point. I mean, I don't know for sure, but there's nothing in the report that stated that they had called the police. I don't see anything in the story.
But what I'm trying to say is now they can't find this guy now. I mean, they can't find the guy now.
I agree. Maybe he took off. Maybe after that, let's face it, he shot somebody. Maybe he got in his car and drove to another city.
Now, I know this is definitely not the place to address this, but he does look awfully familiar to me. I've said it to you. I don't want to say it on the air because he does. He really looks like you know who. And if this, I can't believe that you know who.
I don't think so. But
I think he looks just like him. I mean, if the Las Vegas Police Department want to call me up, I'll be more than happy to tell them who I think it looks like. But come on, it looks just like him. We know somebody that looks like this, but I don't know. Oh, you can't see it. But anyway, Google it. I don't know if I'm the only one who has this theory about this guy, but I would
watching too many soap operas.
This guy, who I think this looks like, is a very highly respected DJ in Las Vegas.
I think that, I think you've said enough at that point.
Zip it. That's all I'm going to say. Joe Biden, our favorite vice president, he's just a touchy-feely kind of guy. Because he has, I guess apparently he was at a dinner where somebody was being honored, and he kind of got a little too close to the wife of the honoree, whispering at her and touching her hair and all that kind of good stuff. And it was just, 15. Quite doesn't understand the whole personal space thing. I don't know. I mean, I've been as a female DJ entertainer, I have been in many situations where gentlemen and not so nice gentlemen have gotten quite close into my personal space. I just shake it off. Like that's my new motto, shake it off. I just shake it off. No one's grabbing a boob. I've had my ass grabbed many times, but Claudio's been out with me. He sees this kind of stuff. It's just, I just don't get offended. It's Joe Biden. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm just too middle-aged. Woman.
And that may just be the type of person he is. He may be a touchy-feely kind of person who, we know people like that you've met them once and they still give you a big hug and he could just be like that. Like there's a picture of him with some woman. I have no idea who it is, but he's basically got his hands on both her cheeks and they're forehead to forehead, and there could be a reason for that, but. It's kind of interesting that the vice president would be so publicly affectionate when he knows the cameras are rolling. Obviously, he doesn't think there's an issue with it. So.
But here's the deal. I just kind of mentioned. Is that a problem, Pat? I mean, how do you feel about, like, if I'm representing our company, I'm Sight and Sound, and I'm doing an event, and somebody, taps me on the ass, or, does that bother you?
Well, it's completely inappropriate. It's just something that you just don't do. I don't think that's what he was doing, though.
No, he got a little close to her, like whispered in her ear, and kind of fondled her hair, kind of pet her, like in a loving way, kind of get a little close to her. But it brings up a very interesting topic in regards to being an event professional and people hitting on you at an event. I always laugh and I'll say to the guys, "Oh, you got to take one for the team," because I want them to be nice. That's what we're there to do. We're there to be nice to people. We're there to make people feel good. We're with people on the happiest day of their life, usually, or if we're at a party. I just did that party last week, which is why we did the show a day early. My audience was 98% men. I think there were like 2 women at the whole event that I did last week. Were guys winking at me? Were guys, kind of flirting with me? Absolutely they were. Did I just ignore them? No. I smiled and I flirted back.
There's a line that you can't cross. Touching is a line. Right. I think you can't, and like I said, for him, we don't know the circumstances, but obviously somebody thought that this was a line because otherwise it wouldn't become news, somebody kind of felt uncomfortable with his touch. Let's put it that way.
I would say something. I mean, if somebody really I've taken plenty of pictures where a guy is, put his hand down on my butt or, I've never done that, but I'd like to. I can think of one guy in particular that I just love to.
Yeah, you go.
I was going to say feel.
Uh-huh.
I was going to say feel. That's all I was going to say. Just saying. But there's appropriate ways to act. So Pat's looking at some more Joe Biden
I'm just looking
pictures.
at Joe Biden's pictures where he's like cuddling up with some biker chick as her boys, the guys on either side don't look real happy with him because he's nuzzling up against
That one
her.
guy, he looks
He looks
bad.
pissed. He's like if Secret Service wasn't here, I'd punch this guy in the face.
I'd body slam him. Bang.
He just seems to be a very touchy, but he does it to guys too. So
yeah,
it's
I see him.
okay.
Yeah, he's doing it to gentlemen too. He's warm. He's a warm person. I find nothing wrong with that. You know, look at him and Obama.
Yeah, it looked
over
like
there.
they're about to make out. Him and Obama look like they're about to
Hillary
kiss.
Clinton is like, please, Joe Biden, don't run for president. You know? Please, I have a shot. Oh man!
Now there's a shot for you right there.
What's
Joe
he
Biden
doing?
eating a hot dog.
You're so mean.
That's just funny to me.
So before we head out,
Perverted.
Pat, we're getting close to our ending time. So how quickly time flies when you're having fun. This weekend is the Academy Awards. We're Oscars. It's time for the awards. Have we seen? We did. We saw one Academy Award nominated film. Do you know which one it was?
No.
You don't remember?
Mm-mm.
Well, there you go. There you go. That's my.
There you blows.
There she blows.
There she blows.
It's Talk Like a Pirate Day months early.
That's
There she
September
goes.
19th, I think. Actually.
No, it was Birdman with Michael
Birdman. Yeah,
Keaton.
Birdman.
We
yes.
saw Birdman and with Emma Stone.
Weird movie.
Yeah, very, very strange movie. They're saying that he has a good shot of winning an Academy Award. But what's funny is the Oscar. There's a little history behind the Oscar. I guess in 1929, when they had the very first Academy Awards, it wasn't called an Oscar. It was called the Award of Merit. And in 1935, Oscar got his name. So that's how they came up with the name Oscar. It was in the year 1935. Now, there are several stories about how this name was adopted. Claudio, adopted. Okay, that's what I thought. According to some sources, they said that
Random
sources. They said that some gentleman who was a reporter got tired of calling it the gold statue because he would report in the news, "Oh, we gave away a gold statue." So I guess apparently back in the old vaudeville days that I wasn't around for, by the way, folks.
No?
No, I do remember Burns and Allen, but that was on repeats, and I did not watch Burns and Allen when it came out. I am not old, so go.
You weren't the Little Rascals.
I did watch Little Rascals, but again, it was Captain
Repeats.
Joe McCarthy, and it was the whole Channel 11 WPIX thing. If you're from the East Coast, you know who I'm talking to. But I guess this reporter got tired of calling it the gold statue, called it Oscar because in some vaudeville, like some vaudevillian thing. An Oscar, when you say the word Oscar, it's like the end of something. So that's how supposedly he came up with it. Number two, the librarian for the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, she said the statue reminded her of an uncle. Her uncle's name was?
George.
Very good.
Okay.
No, it was Oscar.
Oh, good.
It was Oscar.
Oh,
now,
Oscar.
my favorite,
my
all-time favorite theory of how Oscar got his name was that Betty Davis said that the naked Oscar's butt looked like her husband Oscar's butt. So she claims to have given it the name Oscar. TMI?
Okay. So lots of useless information about the Oscars.
About the Oscar. Okay. But this is I found this very interesting. Well, first of all, it's the highest award that anybody, I think, in their industry could achieve.
Sure.
It's very hard to get an Oscar, let alone very hard to win an Oscar. So it is the epitome of winning the highest award there is. Nearly 3,000 Oscars have been awarded since 1929, and all have different numbers on them, engraved on them. So every Oscar has its own number. So if they've given out over 3,000 Oscars, there are Oscars that are,
so they have
2,517.
They have a VIN number like a car, basically.
Yeah. So nobody, I guess, can. So if you want to know the difference, if you ever get close and personal to a real Oscar,
look for that VIN number on it. Have you ever held an Oscar?
Yeah, there was this guy named Oscar that we. It's a short. Oh, I'm sorry.
I have never held an Oscar.
I can't say I've held an Oscar.
I've never
either.
dated an Oscar, and I never held.
I've had an Oscar Mayer Wiener. Is that
I've seen, but I mean, I've held awards before. I've held an Emmy.
Yeah.
It wasn't mine; it belonged to somebody else. But I had an Emmy in my hands.
Kept it.
Oh, trust me, I wanted to. I actually had, Pat. This is the coolest thing ever. I actually wore a New York Yankees World Series ring. How cool!
Yeah, that wasn't that Billy Martin's ring?
The late, great Billy Martin let me try on his World Series championship ring. Coolest thing ever.
And how old were you when that happened?
21.
He was trying to get laid.
And I'll never forget, at Cauliflower Alley, we were hanging out. Cauliflower Alley is where all these wrestlers go to, and they have this reunion every year here in Las Vegas. It's pretty cool. I will be doing the music again this year. Shout out for the Cauliflower Alley. I actually got to see, I didn't wear it, Harley Race was on a hover-round. Poor Harley Race. He's on a hover-round, like doing his thing, and we stopped to say hi to Harley Race. He's a legend, by the way, in the world of wrestling. And he was wearing the WWE Hall of Fame ring. That was the coolest thing ever.
For you, most people would say that the World Series ring was probably cooler, maybe a Super Bowl ring might be cooler, but it's just on what you're a fan of.
Well, I think that totally, Billy Martin's New York Yankee World Series ring probably outweighs the WWE just by a little bit.
Just a little bit. That's it. Just a little bit.
Just by a little bit.
Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for us this week on Staying Up with Pat and Jodi. We hope you enjoyed our rant and that we haven't pissed off too many people. We probably have, though.
You know what?
Or I have.
There was no mention of brown butter cookies.
Oh.
Until just now.
But we have some at home, so we're okay.
We do.
We have brown butter cookies at home. We're safe.
So shout out.
We're going to order some more. Our friends in Cayucos.
Shout out to brown butter cookies. And my sister-in-law, Valerie, who says she can make them for pennies.
That'll never happen.
That's right. So buenos noches, damas y caballeros. We will see you next week from the fabulous Riviera Hotel and Casino.
That's right. We'll be on location at the Riviera, and probably there might be some alcohol involved. So let's see if we can get a couple DJs drunk and get them to piss somebody off, and that would be even more fun. Just have them do shot. Maybe we'll have like a shot game where if somebody says certain words, they have to do a shot.
That would be cool.
Let's see if we can get somebody to pass out at the table.
That's a stand.
I think we should try that. What do you think, Claudio? Should we do that? Yeah, just have buckets there just in case. If somebody throws up, we'll just do it's safety first.
Absolutely.
Right?
And shout out to Claudio, who does a fantastic job for us each and every week.
He's behind there.
Yeah, he's behind there. But he's here, folks. If you want to see Claudio, we post pictures of him every now and then. Good night, everybody. Or good day.
Good day, and we'll see you next time.